Middle Podcast, the podcast dedicated to the music, movies, and culture of Generation X.
What is up, Slackers, and welcome to another episode of the Stuck in the Middle podcast. I am your host, Jason Eck, and this week, it's another one of those weeks. That's right. It's another Whatever Wednesday. It's just been an interesting stretch. Really bonkers just how it rains and it pours and it just keeps coming and coming and coming. And I had a million ideas for different potential topics for tonight off of my list. And there was going to be zero research being done. So I said, you know what? Let's just spitball here and just kind of go through whatever's in my mind. We'll probably touch on a couple of the topics that I was planning on anyway. But first and foremost, I wanted to take a look and see what kind of memes, funny things, Gen X, and the different social media channels. And let me tell you, the first one that I went ahead and pulled up, and it was purposely that I pulled this up, and that was Twitter. I got to tell you, it's just we have such little presence from a generational perspective, at least with hashtags, right? So any kind of Gen X, 80s, stuff like that. I'm looking at the things that are being posted. Now, when I put in a hashtag Generation X and one of my posts, which was one of the polls, right, is one of the things on the list, well, guess what? The hashtag isn't being used. Now, I know for certain that other social media platforms do perform far better. And, you know, it's become a meme in of itself of who's using what platform, right? And a lot of the people who are more interested, I guess, in news or pseudo news or really up-to-date topics that are in, for the most part, written form are going to be on Twitter. You know, your 120 characters or whatever it is. You have your more visual people, visual, sound, etc., that are using an Instagram or TikTok. And then, of course, the granddaddy of them all, the place where Gen X seems to have the most saturation, which is evidenced by actually getting responses to my poll. And that was Facebook, right? So the Facebook poll, it wasn't like overwhelming, you know, so I have a little over 500 followers on Facebook for the podcast. Now, not bad, certainly, but it's also not, you know, groundbreaking or anything. So of those folks that went ahead and logged in, so let me take a look here at the poll. And there were 6 respondents, okay? So I put up top 10 favorite sitcom theme songs, right? And one of the options that I gave was other. So people gave other, one of them being Night Court. That's a great option. Dun, 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 boom, boom, right? Boom, 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 boom. Now, someone put up, believe it or not, The Greatest American Hero, but I did respond, hey, not exactly, you know, a sitcom. That's an hour-long kind of dramedy. So I can't include that on the list. But of the ones that got voted, the Jeffersons, other than the other category, but of the ones on the list, the Jeffersons came in at 33%. Looks like 1% for All in the Family and 16% for Cheers. Now, mind you, it's a very, very small sample, but nevertheless, it's just interesting to know where any kind of traction happened. So total post engagements on this were 10 with a post reach of 33, post impressions 35. Nevertheless, for those who participated in the poll, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And let's take a look at some more things over here on Facebook, if anything even comes up. Yeah, it is. It's really interesting. Yeah, you know, what I also think is fascinating is, and maybe it's because we're a little older, people will say maybe we don't meme as well. So I'm reading some of these things, and it's like, grew up in the 70s or 80s, right? And like, if you grew up in the 70s or 80s, these aren't your grandparents that did these things. These were your parents, most likely. I mean, obviously some people, but it's like, in case you didn't think about it, your grandma wore very short miniskirts, thin panties, high boots, and no bra. She listened to Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, Janis Joplin, and the Rolling Stones. Well, Gen Xers' grandmas didn't listen to that stuff. I mean, and my grandma was a young grandma. My grandma was not even 40 when I came along. Like I said before, born to teenage parents, right? Not even 40. Grandma. So I had a young grandma, and she still does not meet this. You know what I mean? So I don't know who these memes are for and who's actually running some of these sites that are posting these things, because, gosh, that has nothing to do with us. Now, every time I see a picture of the Macho Man, yes, I do go, "Ooh, yeah." You can't help it. So let's see. Here are some things that pop up in the feed. Pearl Jam, my least favorite band. Okay, maybe not least favorite, but certainly not my favorite. 17 years ago, released their self-titled album. Okay, didn't even know that was a thing. That's how little I have followed them after 10, whatever the first one, the second one that came out, Don't Call Me Daughter, whatever it is. It's really all I know. Let's see, what else do we have here? The Ultimate 70s fan page. Wow, someone's posting about Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. Bet you weren't thinking that was going to be a name you heard tonight. Gordon Lightfoot. Yeah, this is definitely for the early Xers and boomers. Let's see here. The Foo Fighters are coming back, but I don't think they have mentioned who their drummer is going to be as of yet. Another interesting one here. We have Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, was first recorded in 1970 by Rick Derringer. And I think for me, Rick Derringer's most famous song is the Hulk Hogan True American. Let's see. So, because I think you could do hashtags on here, right? God, I sound like such an old man when I say that. So can we use the hashtags? It's the pound sign. Let's see. Let's see. I am Jenna. Oh, gosh, it's one of these. It's just, whenever someone says I am, right? Like, I talk about things that are relatable, and I'll sometimes say, hey, that's one of ours. But whenever you have something, you're kind of like, oh, my gosh, please. Like, we're not all monolithic in our thinking. I mean, you think about just the diversity in Gen X and all the different things that we've experienced and we're interested in. You know, it's like anyone who was born between 1965 and 1979, we're the last generation that played outside until dark. That's not true. It's not true. Do you know what I mean? It's obnoxious. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't take any kind of pride or ownership if it was that we were the last generation, because it's either our younger siblings, our cousins, or our own kids. It's like, if you didn't let your kid go play outside, that's on you. We're the first to play video games. Boomers would disagree. The last to record songs off the radio on a cassette. Yeah, that's true. We did love roller skating. Sure. Let's see. We took walks with friends without worry of being taken. No. I've talked about that before. Like, we did think about that because we are the generation of Adam Walsh. So you're wrong. We watch cartoons on Saturday mornings while eating cereal. True that. We program the VCR. Sure. Using a computer for the first time, Atari, Nintendo. And then we'll talk about this big mishmash of things, right? So this is, again, obviously an early Xer. We are the generation of Soul Train, Gilligan's Island, Dukes of Hazzard, Scooby-Doo, Charlie's Angels, Wonder Woman, that is all like 70s and 80s stuff. So for you older Gen X folks, yeah, I was watching those kind of things in repeat. You know what I mean? Like Soul Train stayed on for years and years. Gilligan's Island was a show in the 60s. That's like, putting, I don't know, the Brady Bunch on here, they ended in 74, I believe, the year I was born, or the Monkees. So sure, we watched all those things, but it's not like we could take ownership for some of those things. It's just weird. It's like, it'll be like this. There's a picture of a little kid, a baby, probably in a diaper, chugging a Coors Light. Yeah, great. Not something to be proud of. That's not the best one of our attributes. Let's see here. Which 70s things in the Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret movie are you most excited about? I'm not excited about it at all. I don't really care about Judy Blume. No offense. Did she do Fudge and Super Fudge? Because I seem to remember those being fun books. Is that Judy Blume? Fudge. And Super Fudge. Yeah, Judy Blume. I liked Fudge and Super Fudge. I think there was another one too. But I just remember something horrific happening with a haircut and it going very badly. I could always read those again. Like, how is this any, like, I'm just looking through this feed. I really need to start doing this back on the video too, because I'm looking at these things and scrolling through and going, who are these crazy people? See, but if I start posting stuff, then I'm one of the crazy people. And we already know that I'm a crazy person. Oh my gosh, here we have a Cowboys Super Bowl pictures on an IBM floppy disk. Not a lot of memory on there. What is that, 366 or something like that? 3.6, whatever. I forget exactly. Let's see. This one guy is posting a lot of stuff, and it looks like he's getting decent traction. So I guess maybe I do need to go to the video format, or even doing things in between episodes, because apparently some of you who are probably listening to this podcast are interacting with some of these. Oh gosh. No, Ferris Bueller. I don't do Ferris Bueller. Well, anyway, that's a quick little look through what's happening on the social media under the hashtag Generation X. So how about this? What's happening in the news with Gen Xers? And what I mean by that is celebrity news. So this is, I'm going to call this like my Jerry Seinfeld segment, which is, hey, have you heard the latest? What's up with that? It's terrible, Jerry. I got to work on my impressions. My Macho Man was pretty good. Oh yeah, dig it. First name Macho, last name Man. So a very well-known, perhaps iconic Gen X actor, someone who is in one of Richard Linklater's films. I think one that has become somewhat synonymous with Gen X, even though the time period in which it took place was the 70s. Because listen to this cast. So I'm talking about 1993's Dazed and Confused, right? It's crazy the number of people that are in this. So if I start from the bottom, right? So it goes top billing down. Let's see when it starts to get to be people I recognize, right? Excuse me. All right, here we go. It starts here. Anthony Rapp. He's been in a ton of stuff. Don't remember exactly what he's been in. Cole Hauser. Now, Cole Hauser has been in a couple of my favorite movies. Of course, including his couple of turns with, how did I put it? My guilty pleasure that's not so guilty franchise of Riddick. So, of course, he was in Pitch Black. But he's also, I think, really, is he the guy? Hold on a second. Let's see here. So here are his credits. Higher Learning, School Ties, Dazed and Confused, Good Will Hunting, Pitch Black, Tigerland, Heart's War, Tears of the Sun, The Family That Prays, Too Fast, Too Furious, The Cave, The Breakup, A Good Day to Die Hard, Olympus Has Fallen, Transcendence. I mean, this dude has been around for a long time with all kinds of things, but he plays a baddie really, really well. But what's interesting is you look at him, he looks like such a kind man. And I think that's what's always so interesting about his characters is they look like they should be nice guys, but they're not. We have Sasha Jensen. I recognize him. Let's see. He is most known for Dazed and Confused. So really, not much else of note. Oh, that's right. He was on Buffy, on an episode of that. I was getting top billing over Cole Hauser. That's ridiculous. All right. So Adam Goldberg. Everybody knows Adam Goldberg. He's been in a ton of things. Marissa Ribisi, sister of Giovanni Ribisi. Sean Andrews. I don't really recognize him. He's also best known for Dazed and Confused. Nothing really else of note there. So then we have Mila Jovovich. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. Jojovic, I forget. Anyway, we know her from tons of stuff, including The Fifth Element, which is an absolute banger. And of course, the Resident Evil series. Rory Cochrane. Doesn't he play like a nerd in everything? Am I right about that? Oh my gosh, that's right. He was Lucas in Empire Records. Holy cow. I completely forgot because he doesn't usually have the long hair. So he had long hair in Dazed and Confused and Empire Records, right? No, I'm getting the two movies back, like swapped in my head. What else did he do? Heart's War. Oh, Scanner Darkly, which I've talked about needing to watch. Public Enemies. Black Mass. Let's see. White Boy Rick. Tyson's Run. And upcoming, we have Boston Strangler. But yeah, he's been in a few things. Joey Lauren Adams. The titular Amy of Chasing Amy, of course. Wiley Wiggins. Oh my gosh. He's like the young dude. He is the lead in that. Let's see. What else has he done? He's in a few Richard Linklater movies. Oh, he was in The Faculty. Sorry, Thanks. Computer Chess. So not a ton of stuff on his filmography. He is now an American. He's still an American. A game designer and film actor. Curious. He is the nephew of Lanny Wiggins, who is a member of Janis Joplin's early band, the Waller Creek Boys. Well, you learn something new every day. And now we have, of course, Ben Affleck. I don't know what happened to the guy. I don't think he did really well for himself. I think he's really struggling, kind of down and out. Bummer for that guy. Parker Posey. Oh, my gosh. What did she say? Wipe that head off your neck, bitch. I think that's what she says. Or wipe that face off your head, bitch. Hilarious. But she is so quirky and interesting and done so many strange things. That's right. She's in Scream 3, which is next up on my queue of the Scream movies. But my gosh, the first time I saw Parker Posey was on As the World Turns. So Nicole, who's been on the show, was a fan of that particular soap opera. So after school, I would go over to her house and we'd end up watching this. And the whole thing about soap operas is you can get sucked in so easily. Like they have the formula down. Like every episode is going to end on a cliffhanger. I ended up watching that freaking show for like 3 years or something. Ridiculous. But I remember Parker Posey being a newbie on that one. We have Jason London, one half of the Jeremy Jason London scenario. They've had a certainly kind of a up and down couple of years in particular. But let's see. Days of Confused, The Rage, Carrie 2, Out Cold, The Man in the Moon, tons of credits. He was working right up until 2019 was his last credit. And then Jeremy, it's Jeremy who is continuing to work with credits right up till 2022. Of course, in 2010, one of the things that he did was Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew. But he had 12 credits in 2020. Everything from scripted to reality. Very interesting. But a lot of stuff on his filmography. And then finally on the list, the guy that got this whole little tangent started, Mr. All right, himself, Mr. I Drive a Lincoln, Matthew McConaughey, who is in the news for two very distinct but very different reasons. Well, actually, it's in my news for three reasons. So we'll do number 3 last. So the first reason that he is in the news is because he has fancied himself a bit of a new age guru, if you will. And I guess he has some kind of self-help seminar. And it's gotten a little bit of, I don't know, I don't want to say hate, criticism. It's gotten a little, I guess, maligned as being a little bit of, I don't know, snake oil? Now, I don't really know much about it. So let's see here. The Art of Living. Bongos. He's playing the bongos and telling you, hey, man. The Matthew McConaughey Art of Living event is one of the strangest things I've ever seen, but I can't look away, though. What's with the fake laughter and applause track? I don't know. I'd have to check it out. But apparently, he did this as a Zoom call. So we're going to have a Zoom meeting, and I'm going to play my bongos. It's so strange, right? It's like so strange that he's done this. And I'm really not sure what oh my gosh, here it is. The Art of Living virtual live event. Matthew McConaughey. 208,321 people were watching it live. And it started streaming for hours. Matthew McConaughey and the McConaughey went from 2 million live viewers to 208K after he revealed his grift. Oh my gosh, that made me laugh. Oh, and it kicked off a cough. Oh my gosh. Wow. I thought the 208K was good. I didn't know it started with 2 point whatever million live viewers. Wow. And then this is where Twitter is toxic, right? Hello, 911. We need a wellness check for Matthew McConaughey. He seems to not be okay. He's slipping with every second of this culty live. We're worried about him. Who cares what you think? Honestly, like, who are you? Are we all feeling inspired yet? I think that. Same person. Gosh, you're awful. You should just go log off of Twitter and stop being awful. Because I'm imagining that you say a lot of just awful, dispiriting, rude things. You know? When Matthew McConaughey starts beating his chest and humming, I'll know he's lost it. So again, it's like, just turn it off. Hey, it's not for me. Don't watch it. Sadly disappointed in McConaughey and his Art of Living. Sadder still is how many will be duped by this cult-like presentation. Genie in a bottle, yeah. That's exactly what he's selling. Your moralistic ways will be your undoing, Matthew. You're in my prayers. Okay. I mean, I don't know. And they're saying it's a scam. So anyway, that is one reason that Matthew McConaughey is in the news. The other is because it is possible, based upon two families that seemingly have kind of known each other, including not just during the heights of their fame, but also looking eerily similar. Not similar, but similar enough. Some shared characteristics, some traits that seem to overlap, some facial structure even. And of course, I am talking about the potential that Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are brothers. I have a brother? So apparently, it's been widely documented, including by Matthew McConaughey himself, that his mom kind of suffered from some wanderlust there for a little while and kind of did her own thing, and may or may not have come across a soon-to-be felon, a hitman for the Texas mob, one Woody Harrelson's father, who legitimately was a hitman for the mob. Like, it's insane. However, the timeline lines up. So Woody Harrelson was born in 1961, so he's a boomer, but the latter end of boomers, let's be honest. And Matthew McConaughey was born in 1969, firm Gen Xer. But Charles Void Harrelson was an American hitman and organized crime figure who was convicted of assassinating federal judge John H. Wood Jr., the first federal judge to be assassinated in the 20th century. What? That's insane, right? He was a contract killer. He got the job. He took care of it. Here's what Woody revealed about visiting his father. My father is one of the most articulate, well-read, charming people I've ever known. Still, I'm just now gauging whether he merits my loyalty or friendship. I look at him as someone who could be a friend more than someone who is a father. And then, of course, Woody went and got wicked stoned right after. Oh, here it is. It's on the Wikipedia page. In April 2023, actor Matthew McConaughey claimed that he and Woody Harrelson, who have been longtime friends, could potentially be brothers, implying that Charles Harrelson could also be his father. According to McConaughey, his mother claimed to have known Woody's father around the time that she bore McConaughey, and the two actors have discussed taking a DNA test to be certain. Now, Mr. McConaughey, if he is indeed potentially kind of unraveling a little bit, as these naysayers claim, who knows? Maybe it's because of something related to this, because he did say, hey, look, I'm not sure I want to do the DNA test because I kind of feel like, it's like losing something, like losing a father. Now, Matthew, I got to tell you, do the DNA test. I'm telling you from experience as someone who had questions, had doubts, found out affirmatively, it's okay. And in many ways, it's better when your biological father has passed on. Because I didn't have any pressure. The only thing I need to know is how he died. And I'm still trying to figure that out because I need to know what's in my DNA profile, like genetically. What do I got to worry about? So Matthew, do it, man. Because as Woody's counterpoint says, hey, man, don't look at it like you're losing a father. You're never going to lose the man who raised you. But you're going to gain a brother. We're already friends, and we'd be brothers. Oh, my God, it'd be like stepbrothers. Oh, my God, did we just become friends? So the last reason that Mr. Matthew McConaughey is in my news, in my orbit, in my little galaxy over here, is that my daughter turned 16. And she wanted to make, along with her best friend, the cake for her party. Had to be pink. It had to be like multiple layers with frosting and all that. But on top, they decided that they were almost going to make, for lack of a better term, like a diorama. Except it's all cute boys. It's the heartthrobs and the crushes. Now, the boyfriend was on there. Kudos to her. She kind of stuck him in there. Wondering if anybody would have noticed. And of course, her friends, when they came over, they did in fact notice, hey, he's not famous. But here's what blew my mind. I am an old man, her father, Gen X. So it surprised me that a couple of guys who are of our generation made this little menagerie on top of her cake. One of them being Mr. Matthew McConaughey. I found that fascinating. Honestly, I found it fascinating. I'm like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, man. He is a good-looking dude. And I'm like, really? I'm like, do you know anything about Matthew McConaughey? I'm not sure that you do. Not that I think there's anything bad about him. Just obviously his character in Dazed and Confused was not a great guy, right? And that was like his big claim to fame. And I think that he immediately did roles that would go ahead and kind of counteract that. My personal favorite Matthew McConaughey movie, though. Personal favorite. It stars Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale in the finest, the best, the greatest dragon apocalypse movie of all time, Reign of Fire. And you know what? He looks a lot like Woody Harrelson in that movie. So one of the other ones that was on there, like, wait a minute. Is that Ethan Hawke? She goes, oh my God, look at him. Yes. Ethan Hawke. Look at that man. I ended up pulling up pictures, like trying to find no, he's old, right? Like he's old. And like every picture, she, even if it's like recent, she's like, yeah, that's a good looking man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, he's my age. It's like, whatever. I don't care. So Matthew McConaughey and Ethan Hawke. And some of you right now are listening going, yep, she's got that right. It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. So let's see. What else? What else is new and exciting or interesting? So one of the topics that I was planning on doing, I'm just going to give you a little kind of snapshot. And I'll use it again. I'm going to do a full episode on this, and I've wanted to for a while. But there is a difference between one-hit wonders and what I would call flash in the pans. Now, flash in the pan isn't meant to be a negative thing. It's not meant to be a cut down or a dismissal. It's more that some bands aren't one-hit wonders, but maybe one album wonders with multiple hit singles, or a couple of albums and then seemingly disappear. And the band that really kept coming up into my head is the Romantics. So the Romantics were formed in 1977 in Detroit. And the band is often put under the banner of power pop and new wave. That's what they're described as here. So let's go to their discography and singles. All right. What a weird Wikipedia page. Normally it gives you sales numbers. Interesting. Okay. So their first charting song, surprise, surprise, is 1980's What I Like About You. You know what I mean? You know that. It's what I like about, The next one, which sounds so different, is talking in your sleep. Now, that was an earworm as well. So, 2 different albums. So, What I Like About You was on their self-titled album, The Romantics. Then they had National Breakout, which is 1981. None of the singles charted. Strictly Personal also didn't chart. And then you have In Heat, you have Talking in Your Sleep, Rock You Up, which I don't remember, but that was number 49 on Mainstream Rock. 1 in a Million and Test of Time. Now, 1 in a Million is the last one on In Heat, which interesting though. Talking in Your Sleep was number 1 on the U.S. dance charts, number 2 on the U.S. Mainstream Rock, and number 3 on the overall Billboard. So again, they're not one-hit wonders. Now, mind you, some people will say, What I Like About You was not top 40. It was actually number 49. But What I Like About You is still on the radio today. You know what I mean? It's like, what is the definition of a long-lasting classic? I would venture to say that anything made the top 100, top 200, that's why they have a top 200. There's so many artists, so many songs, that it's hard to crystallize them all down. And some songs just get missed, or they don't have the right promoter, or they don't have the right radio stations, whatever it is. What I Like About You, I hear on the radio way more, Talking in Your Sleep. And I don't listen to the radio a ton, but my kids know that song way more. Talking in Your Sleep, I guarantee you they wouldn't be able to even tell me who it is. I think What I Like About You, at least 1 or 2 of them will know the artist. I had to look up who the members of the bands were. The members of the band, let's see. Wally Palmer, whose real name was Vladimir Palmerchuk. Palmer toured as part of Ringo Starr and his all-star band, performing What I Like About You and Talking in Your Sleep. Interesting. But that was definitely like one of the bands that like came to my mind. Not distinctly one-hit wonders, but still had a couple. One of the other bands that came to mind, Ugly Kid Joe. Now, of course, people will be like, Hate Everything About You, right? Is I Hate Everything About You? Or Everything About You? Everything About You, right? Ugly Kid Joe. Everything About You. Yeah. But then, so that was on one album, right? So that was on their America's Least Wanted. Is that what it was called? Commercial Success, America's Least Wanted. And then, where's the next? So here's the discography. So America's Least Wanted was released in 1992, the graduation year for me. Made it to number 27 on the U.S. charts and was double platinum. Double platinum. Their follow-up record, Menace to Sobriety, these names are great. No, wait. This doesn't make sense. Did they re-release it? America's Least Wanted was As Ugly as They Want to Be an EP? It was. It was an EP. Holy cow. I forgot that was an EP. So that was a double platinum EP, making it as high as number 4 on the U.S. charts. So their first hit record was an EP, not even an LP. Interesting. Well, anyway, Everything About You was a hit off of As Ugly as They Want to Be, and then America's Least Wanted yielded an even higher chart position for their cover of the Harry Chapin Cats in the Cradle. And just to kind of I guess, reference, a callback, if you will, to an earlier episode where I mentioned Ugly Kid Joe. Busy Bee, check that song out, made it to number 22 on the U.S. mainstream rock because it's a great freaking song. But yeah, so Ugliest They Want to Be, America's Least Wanted, Nativity in Black, which is, Black Sabbath, NIB, Menace to Sobriety, Motel California, Stairway to Hell EP, and The Rad Wings of Destiny, which just came out and I have not listened to as of yet. But, hey, free plug for Ugly Kid Joe, who shouldn't they be on the show? So if anyone knows how to put me in touch with Whitfield Crane, who is also, by the way, formerly a member. So after Ugly Kid Joe broke up, he went and had lead singing duties with Life of Agony. He could not be more different than their prior and current singer. I'm not sure what they're called right now. So it was Keith, but has transitioned to Mia, I believe. I'm not sure if they're still touring or together, but I do know that returned to their position as the lead singer of the band after Whitfield left. It was a weird mix anyway, because completely different vocal tones and qualities. Anyway, so that's just what I was thinking about, like the bands that have kind of had a couple of hits, but you can't call them one-hit wonders, but you can't call them mainstream superstars either. Honestly, for that matter, let's take a look at my favorite band of all time. I think I got to call them flashes in the pan as far as mainstream goes, as far as like chart position and all that. I am being generous with what I'm calling a hit. I think, if it's in the top whatever, it at least has to be considered a minor radio hit. So my favorite band of all time is Faith No More. I forgot about that. Okay, so Faith No More has had a gold single in Epic, which went to number 9 on the U.S. charts. Their cover of Easy went platinum in Australia, by the way, made it to number 58 here in the U.S., and then Ashes to Ashes went gold in Australia. Didn't chart here. But they had 3 songs that made it into the overall U.S. rock charts. So Epic at number 9, Falling to Pieces at 92, and Easy at 58. So again, these aren't like churning out top 10 hits or anything, but still you can't call them a one-hit wonder. And Easy, their version, was certainly played on the radio, and so was Falling to Pieces. So it's just kind of an interesting thing about what exactly denotes or constitutes stardom or these kind of arbitrary descriptors, Great bands. And I would also, I just have to satiate my own curiosity here, because another band that I think of that I absolutely love, particularly their guitar player and singer, I think they're probably in this same category. Let me make sure I'm still recording here. I thought I exited out by mistake, and that would have been bad. Okay. I'm just scrolling to their discography. Once again, fascinating when it comes to the U.S. charts. So, by the way, the United States isn't the only country. Do you know what I mean? It's like when people talk about like TV ratings and like box office and all those kind of things, right? We are not the absolute like center of the universe as much as we'd like to believe it. So here's a band that I was thinking, did they have that many top 10s? And guess what? Way more than I thought. And I'm talking about the Stray Cats. Brian Setzer, Lee Rocker, Slim Jim Phantom, And they had, let's see here, just for singles, 1981, Rock This Town, number 9. So top 10 hit. Stray Cat Strut made it to number 3 on the U.S. charts. You then have She's Sexy and 17, number 5 on the U.S. charts. I Won't Stand in Your Way at 35. Look at the Cadillac at 68. So the Stray Cats had a significant number of hits. However, it's so interesting that their records themselves didn't seem to sell particularly well. So for their studio albums, they only have one platinum, and that was Rant and Rave with the Stray Cats, which was released in 1983. 1983. Yeah. So they had made it to the charts on their first record, but it looks like it was more about the single selling and being radio hits than it was buying the full records. Anyway, great band. If you haven't listened to them in a minute, go back and listen to it, because they were already doing throwbacks in a way, you know? It then remains kind of timeless, and it holds up. And then, of course, Brian Setzer Orchestra is just a whole other level of badassery that exists that's pretty damn good. Guitar playing, sound of his voice, Christmas records, great, by the way, top freaking notch. Add it to your list. So anyway, this is some of my musings for this week. I know, meandering a bit from here and there. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have any ideas for content or things you'd like to see in the future, by all means, let me know. So you can email me at stuckinthemiddlepod@yahoo.com. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at StuckPodX. Head on over to the Facebook page, Stuck in the Middle, a Gen X podcast. Please like, share, comment, leave 5-star reviews, and most importantly, please subscribe to the podcast. So until next time, later, slackers.